Lesson 17, 8M4 lesson 17. This is a mouthful. Let me just read this. The line joining two distinct points of the graph y equals mx plus b has slope m. That is the title of this lesson. It is one of the most important things you're going to learn in all of algebra. So it becomes a relatively easy concept once you understand what all those words mean. Let's see if we can make sense of these words and this lesson. Let's head over to our sketch pad and get going. So we have learned how to graph equations. Typically, the equations that we've been looking at have been written more like this, where the x's and y, 2x plus 3y equals 6, and we've been graphing equations like this. Today, we're going to talk about equations that live in this form. This is just another way of writing a linear equation. And we know this is a linear equation because we have an x and a y, and there are no exponents written up here, which means that, in fact, these have exponents of 1. But we write it like this. So if we're going to graph y equals 2x plus 3, one way you can do it is you can build this t-chart that looks like this. And notice it's really easy if you find an x value to plug it into this formula and do 2 times x plus 3, calculate that, and then you get y. Notice if you put in a y, it's harder to solve for x because you have to then figure out how to work backwards to x. So this is designed to find y given an x. That's one purpose of this form of equations. So what we can do over here is we can say, well, some good values for x are always like whole or integers. So we'll use the number 0, we'll use the integer 1, and we'll use the integer 2, and then maybe the integer 5. And we're going to find some values for y. So the way you do it is you just, as anything, you plug your x into the equation. If you put a 0 in here, you'd say, well, 2 times 0 plus 3, and that equals just 3, because 2 times 0 is 0. And then we get 2 times 1 plus 3, and we get 2 times 2. Notice we just keep taking our x in, and we just put it in here. And then 2 times 5 plus 3. And so we get 5, 7, and here we get 2 times 5, we get 13. Okay, so that's all good. And so now we have these ordered pairs, right? Let's switch colors real quickly and write our ordered pairs down. And so we have, if our x is 0, our y is 3, so our ordered pair is 0, 3. We can write those down, ordered pair. We'll call that OP, our ordered pair. And we get 1, 5. And so these are all, as we say, these ordered pairs, because they make the equation true. Whenever you put any one of these pairs of numbers into this equation, it makes it true, which makes these all solutions to this equation that we're talking about. And this equation is y equals 2x plus 3. All right, so now we can do things like graph. So now we have a, let me draw this graph real quick, and then we'll come back and we will, why is this thing not, we want this line to be wider. Let's make our lines, whenever we draw them, be 4 pixels big, or about that big. Let's make these a little bit fatter. Yeah. A little fatter, a little wider. Okay, so now we'll draw our arrows, and this is our x, and this is our y-axis, and we can plot. So this is going to be this is our equation, y equals 2x plus 3. This is our chart. This is one thing. Equation is two things. Chart is Chart is the second thing. And the third thing is our graph. And these things are all equivalent. Anything that makes this equation true will live in this chart. Anything on this chart can be graphed, and anything on this graph represents this equation. We have three ways of showing the same thing. So let's go about making our graph now. And so we're going to plot our points, 0, 3, 1, 5, 1, 5. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5. 2. I don't know how well you can see these lines on YouTube, but I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just put them in. And this is, you know, 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh, that's not right. I actually missed. I need to make my tick marks first. So I'll make my tick marks so I don't screw up again. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 0, 3. 1, 5, 2, 7, and then we did 5, 13. 1, 2, 3, 5, 13. And we know this is so this is our graph. And we know it's a linear equation, so we know that because we have, you know, an x and a y, and our exponents are implied ones. And we know that this is a linear equation, so we know our graph also has to be a straight line. So let's put that guy in here, and we better get a straight line when we line up our points. And if we don't get a straight line, then we've actually whoops. Let me really get right on it. Let me go right through all the points. There you go. And there's our straight line, and it goes through all the points. So we know that we've graphed it right. And we can even do something like plot our points. And so we get 0, 3, 1, 5, 2, 7, and 5, 13. Now, one thing to notice that's really cool, and it's really key, is, let's just go back really quickly and remind ourselves how we can calculate slope on a graph and define the slope of this line. Well, remember, we can use our point slope equation, which is let's go back to blue for a little bit here. And we could say our slope is equal to y2 minus y1, the difference in y's over the difference in x's for any 2 points. So let's let this be 1 point and this be 1 point. And so we're going to subtract our y's. And we'll say, well, 13 minus 7 over, and then we're going to subtract our x's. 5 minus 2, and that equals 6 over 3, and that simplifies to 2. So our slope here is 2. It's positive. And we know that because our line goes up from left to right, that it needs to be positive, and it's good that it worked out. And it's kind of a steep line, so that's why we get a number that's 2. It's great. It's, you know, pretty steep line. Now notice the key to this whole lesson is connected between this number here in our y equals mx plus b form and this number here, which is our slope that we calculate from 2 points on the graph, right? The line joining 2 distinct points of the graph, y equals mx plus b. We chose 2 distinct points. Found the slope, and that's 2. And that is the same as this number that's our coefficient of x whenever we have something in y equals mx plus b form. That's the connection. Now let's look back at our equation here. Y equals 2x plus 3. They say that this is in y equals mx plus b form because we have a y, we have an x, and then we have a number, a coefficient in front of that x, which we call m, and then we have a number that's added, and you'll see soon that it can also be subtracted from that term, and this is our b. But we're not going to worry so much about b today. We're going to focus on our m, which is our slope. And we're going to come back to this over and over. If something is in this form, you're going to see that this coefficient to x is the same as the slope. And in fact, we could also, remember, we could use calculate our slope, our rise over our run. Our rise here is 6 because we go from 7 up to 13, and our run is 3. And so our slope here is 6 over 3, which is 2. Our slope is our slope, and it's always that m. Okay, let's keep moving. That was the whole lesson, kind of all in one. So let's just do this quickly. Well, one more time. We're going to do this over and over, and on your homework, you're going to be doing this too. So we're going to be doing our x, our formula, negative 3x plus 2, and then we're going to calculate our y. Then we're going to graph, and we're going to see that when we graph, our slope is negative 3. So we should expect, what should we expect? A, that because it's a negative slope, it should go down to the right. When we graph this, it should go down to the right. And B, because the number's kind of a big number, it's greater than 1, it should be kind of steep. And C, we should expect that its slope equals exactly negative 3. It should be this number. So we'll see if all of these things are true after we calculate some points, some ordered pairs, and then we're going to graph them. So let's go. So let's try our numbers. Let's try 0, 1, 2, and then let's try let's try 4. Let's try a little bit, or let's try a negative number. Let's try like negative 2. Okay, so negative 3 times 0 plus 2, negative 3 times 1 plus 2, negative 3 times 2 plus 2. And I encourage you to pause the video and calculate these y's for yourself. Do this yourself. Do this yourself. Negative 3 times negative 2 plus 2. Try calculating these, and then try calculating these ordered pairs yourself. If you're still not ready, just go ahead and watch. But I'm telling you, you're going to learn more if you do these on your own. As much work as you do on your own, you're going to learn more. Okay, so this is a 2. This is negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Negative 3 times 2, negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6 plus 2 is 8. So my ordered pair is 0, 2, 1, negative 1, 2, negative 4, right? 2, negative 4, and then negative 2, 8. So now we're going to go about graphing. I encourage you to do graphing as well. This is stuff you're going to have to do on the homework, so you might as well start doing it now. Okay. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. And we're going to have some negative numbers here. 5, 1, 2, 5, 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. It's negative 5. That's 5, 1, 2. Okay, 0, comma 2. Let's graph these in a different color. Zero, comma 2, 1, comma negative 1. 2, comma negative 4. 1, comma negative 1. 0, comma 2. And then negative 2, comma 8. And we expect that this is a linear. Again, we have our x and our y in this equation, and there's no exponents explicitly written. So we know that this is a linear equation. Let's go to our line tool, and let's draw our line. Okay, there we have it. It's a straight line. It's a straight line, and it goes through these points. So there's our graph. We have a linear equation, 1, our equation. 2, we have our chart. 3, we have our graph. And these are all equivalent. These things are not different things. They're just different representations, but they all represent the same concept. Now let's go ahead and find our slope here. I'm going to choose let's choose this point and this point. So let's choose our y's. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We're going to call this our x2 comma x, or y, sorry, x2 comma y2, and we're going to call this our x1 comma y1. So our y2 is negative 4 minus our y1 is 8. Our x2 is 2 minus negative 2, because this is our x1. So we get negative 4 minus 8 is negative 12, and 2 minus a negative 2 is a positive 4, and so our slope is negative 3. Our m equals negative 3. Now let's see if all of our expectations were met. Because it's a negative slope, it does go down from left to right. Check. It's very steep. Check. And our slope is indeed negative 3. Our slope of negative 3 matches our slope of negative 3 that we calculated after we graphed it. So this is very important. And you know what? We forgot to do our happy cat. We're going to put a happy cat on this because we've done a ton of work here. And we've learned that our supposition, our whole lesson, the line joining two distinct points on a graph, y equals mx plus b, has slope m. Two distinct points on this graph, negative 2, 8, negative 2, 8, and 2 comma negative 4. The line that is contained on that graph with slope negative 3 and with equation y equals negative 3x plus 2 does have a slope that equals the coefficient of the x term. Huge, huge, huge. We do this over and over again. You're going to do this 4 times on your homework. You're going to do this exercise right here. In fact, we're going to do it, I think, 2 more times in our homework help section. So let's keep going. So the key to lesson 17. The key to lesson 17. Y equals mx plus b. This will all when graphed. This is when graphed. the coefficient of x term is always the slope. But the key is the equation must be in that form. It's not true if you have 2x plus 4y equals 9. 2 is not the slope here, because this is not, that is not in y equals mx plus b form. So let's go over a few examples and let's see what to make of that. Here are 4 lines, and we're going to find the slope of these lines. So the question is, A, is equation in y equals mx plus b form? B, if not, put into y equals mx plus b form. Then slope equals m. Okay, so we're going to do that 4 times. I encourage you, if you understand this lesson completely or very well, to at least try these equations, and then we're going to solve. So pause plus try. Now I assume you're back, and let's look at equation 1. Well, is this in y equals mx plus b form? Well, the answer is yes. This is in y equals mx plus b form because you have a y equals a number times x plus or minus another number. There's no coefficient on x. Yes, because there's no coefficient for y. Sorry, no coefficient for y, and the form, yeah, the rest of the form matches. So our slope equals -1/2. Now let's look at number 2. Is this in y equals mx plus b? It looks like it might be, but the answer is no, and our problem here is this 2. And y cannot have a coefficient, any coefficient. The coefficient's got to be the implied 1. So we have to put this into y equals mx plus b form. So our y is on our left, our x and our constant are on our right, which is nice, but we have to make this y have a coefficient of 1. So we're going to divide all of our terms by 2, and then we get y equals 2x plus 5. And now this is in y equals mx plus b form, and so our slope equals 2. 3, is this in y equals mx plus b form? Well, no. The problem, this is no, because we have our y on the right and your x on the left. So we have to do some manipulation. We got to get the y over here and the x over here. So let's see what we have to do. We have to subtract 6x from both sides, and we have to add 2y to both sides. And so now we get 2y equals -6x, because this cancels, and this -2y and this +2y cancel. And so we get -6x plus 8. Still not in y equals mx plus b form, because we have to get rid of this coefficient to our y's. And we get y equals -3x plus 4. And then so our m is our -3. Similarly here, we have to get our y on the left, our x on the right. Our y is already on the left, so let's get our x on the right. And we'll go 2y equals -3x plus 6. We got to divide by 2. Uh-oh, a little fraction, but we know how to handle fractions. Y equals negative 3/2 x plus 3. And so our m is, it can be a fraction, is negative 3/2. Let's lay down some happy cats. Good work. And now let's get on to finally, we're going to get on to our homework help. And this is what your homework is going to look like. It's going to look like this for, I think, 3 or 4 problems. So the first thing you got to do is you got to do solve for y, which also simply means put into y equals mx plus b form. It means the same thing, right? We're solving for y means put a y on our left, and that just turns out to be y equals mx plus b once you do that. It's almost impossible not to do that. So I'm going to let you pause and try. Pause, this is homework help. Pause plus try. And I am going to be back, and we're going to go through this whole exercise, which you're going to have to do on your homework a number of times. Okay, so let's just go through this. 4y, this should be an, this should be an x. Dang it, that should be an x. 4y plus 8x equals 16. I'll fix this on the notes. Okay, 4y, so now pause and try now. So 4y equals negative 8x plus 16. Divide by 4. Got to divide every term by 4, remember, because you have 2 terms over here. Because there's a positive sign. There's an addition or subtraction sign. So let's go. Y equals negative 2x plus 4. So that's A. Well, now we expect our slope. We expect m to equal negative 2 after we do some of this other stuff. So let's expect that. And so expect the graph is also going to look like, the line's going to look down to the left when we graph. So these are the 2 things we expect. Slope of negative 2 and a graph that goes down from left to right. So let's solve our x and our y. So we're going to solve, we're going to use 0. How about 0, 2, and negative 2? So negative 2 times 0 plus 4, right? Negative 2x plus 4 is our expression that equals y. Here we get negative 2 times 2 plus 4. And here we get negative 2 times negative 2 plus 4. So this is 4. This is negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. This is 0. And this is negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Plus 4 is 8. So this is 0, 4. This is 2, 0. This is negative 2, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 10 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 5, negative 5, 5. All right, so let's plot our points. 0, 4. Let's plot them in a different color. Let's go back to our green color. That's 0, 4, 2, 0, negative 2, 8. Negative 2, 8. 2, 0. Let's draw our line. Line, line, line. Boom. 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 Okay, let's choose these 2 points. Let's choose negative 2, 8 and 2. Okay, wait. So there's our graph. That's C. Find slope using any 2 points. we go back to our equation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that's equal to, well, if this is our second point, 0 is our first y, 0 minus 8 over 2 minus negative 2, subtracting our x's. So we get negative 8 over 2 minus 2 is 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 minus negative 2, same as 2 plus 2 is 4. So that simplifies to negative 2. So let's go back and look. Our expectations was our slope would be negative 2, which it is, and our graph would go down from left to right, and it does. So that's good. We're humming along, cooking with gas. We deserve to give ourselves some happy cats for all this great work we've done so far. And let's get back to it. Now, is slope from A to B the same? Oh yeah, we've already identified that. That was part of our expectation. So our slope from A was negative 2, and our slope from D was negative 2. So yes. Yes, happy cat. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate success. Okay, now the interesting thing is they're doing this cool little thing where this is planting a seed. This F thing, they haven't taught you this, but what they're doing is they're planting a seed for future lesson. Planting a seed. So just notice where it crosses. It crosses the y-axis. This is our y-axis, remember? And we cross here at 0, 4. Right? 0, 4. That's where our line crosses the y-axis. And so there's going to be a cool thing that also happens. We're learning, this whole lesson is about slope, but this 0, 4, where the line crosses the y-axis, there's a cool connection between this 4 and this equation. And maybe you can see it. And if you see it, where this 4 connects to this equation here, you're ahead of the game for future lessons. We're going to do this one more time, this exact same formula, A through F, and make sure we really get it. And that will be the final ending spot for today's lesson. And this says 5x. Sorry, this is kind of hard to read. I'm going to write it again. 5x minus y equals 4. So we're going to solve for y. We're going to do all this same stuff. Pause and try, and I'm just going to kind of go through it a little bit faster than last time. Okay, so pause and try. Let's go. So here we got negative y equals negative 5x plus 4. We're going to flip all our signs and get y equals 5x minus 4. We basically multiplied each side by negative 1 to get this. And so that's our equation. And you can really figure this out. Remember, the key was you have to have y by itself, not a negative y, but a positive y. And so that's why we had to do this multiplication by negative 1. So that's A, happy cat, good job. And now we expect a positive slope of 5. So a line that's steep that looks like this. This is our expectation when we graph it. Now let's find some points. How about 0, 1, and 2? So our solving is 5x minus 4. 5 times 0 minus 4, 5 times 1 minus 4, 5 times 2 minus 4. This is negative 4. This is 1. And this is 6. So our points are 0, negative 4, 1, 1, 2, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. Negative 5. So here we go. 0, negative 4. Let's switch colors. 1, 1, 2, 6. Go in, switch colors again, make our straight line. Put our little end tags on that thing to draw our arrows. We have, that's C. So our expectation, we have a positive slope. We have a slope that looks, steep left to right. Good. So now we got to find our slope using 2 points. Let's use a different color. I don't like, this isn't dark enough. So let's go. Our M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Rise over run. So this is we're going to use this point of 2, 6, I am, and then this point of 1, 1. So we subtract our y's, 6 minus 1, 6 minus 1, and then subtract our x's, 2 minus 1, and we get 5 over 1, or 5. Is the slope the same? Well, yes, our 5 and our 5 are indeed the same. Yes. And I'm going to say they better be. We're going to lay down some happy cats. Let's lay them down. Okay, and then where does the line cross the y-axis? And the answer is here, 0, -4. And notice again, there's something special about this point. If you look closely at this point and this equation, you're going to see some neat connection between this -4 and this equation. Look back at the last lesson if you want to, or last slide if you want to see the pattern. And if you can see that pattern, you're ahead of the game, because that's something that we're going to need to know and we're going to work on in our next lesson, or lessons upcoming. Okay, hopefully this was a useful lesson for you. It's a lot. This is very important. Y equals mx plus b form is the most important form for a linear equation for a line that you will learn in algebra. Manipulating, putting equations into y equals mx plus b form, knowing how to build charts, ordered pairs, solutions, it's very important, and then being able to graph, and then being able to connect that graph to the equation and understanding the slope of that line, calculating the slope, and then verifying that it is the same as the m in y equals mx plus b, or predicting that the m from the y equals mx plus b is going to predict the line and the slope of the shape of the slope of that line that you're going to graph is going to be very key. It will help you catch mistakes, but it will also be certain kinds of questions that you get asked about in predicting linear equations, going up or down, how steep, and where those points lie. So great job today. If you hung with me, if you liked the lesson, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, tell your friends about it, tell your teacher about it. I'm getting a lot of great traction out there on from you guys. So if you want me to keep doing these lessons, just keep watching, and I'll keep making them. And we'll see you for lesson 8 and 4, lesson 18 next time.